Call the meeting to order here. We have all board members present, so certainly a quorum. Appreciate everybody coming out on a beautiful fall evening. We always start our meetings with the Pledge of Allegiance, and we've got a group of students from Castleman Creek Elementary to lead us in the pledge tonight.
They're led all time maybe by Dr. Mandy Johnson, principal of Castleman Creek.
Thank you, Board. Thank you, Dr. Sanders. Tonight we have outstanding students from Castleman Creek Elementary. And they are Taylon Corbett, London Boudreaux, Abby Witt, who is the daughter of our own Colin Witt over here on the board, Jackson Anderson, Ethan Broadus, and Quincy Johnson. They are exemplary role models for us at Castleman Creek Elementary, and that is why we invited them tonight to lead you all in the pledge. Okay, Ethan, we are ready. To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
What's this flag? Pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right. Yeah.
Recognition tonight. We have a great recognition. It's our National Merit students, and delighted to say the list is long. We've got a lot of them, and that's a good thing.
That is a good thing. Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Russick, members of the board. Assisted tonight by Dr. Andy Popejoy, one of our board members. But as Mr. Russick said, we couldn't be more proud and happy this evening to celebrate our, has to be one of our highest years of national merits here at Midway High School and Midway ISD. Again, goes without saying all that we have been through, of course, as educators, but also the students and their families through the pandemic, and still persevering and keeping up with their studies and their dedication to excellence is truly remarkable, and we couldn't be more proud of you. So thank you all for being here and for this recognition. I'd like to introduce to you Ms. Allison Smith, who is our high school principal, and she will begin our program. Ms. Smith.
Good evening. I'm going to go ahead and start by introducing Miss Susie Pagel. And she's here tonight because our gifts that we're giving are she's the executive director of our Education Foundation. And we traditionally have a nice reception with cookies, and we're shifting a little, you know. And so we have some pretty awesome treats that we've planned. They're truly sweet, congratulatory gifts. So Midway High School students continue their legacy of excellence in standardized testing this year, with 13 seniors being recognized through the National Merit Program, 8 being recognized through the College Board National Recognition Program, including 1 National Merit semifinalist, 2 commended scholars, 7 National Hispanic Scholars, and 1 National Indigenous Scholar. And so we're going to call you guys up here to the front. And do we want parents to come up with them too? Or is it just students in one big picture? Just students. All right. Okay. But parents, you get announced as well. So we're going to start tonight with Michael Becker, who is a National Merit semifinalist. And Michael is the son of Mike and Amy Becker of Hewitt. And congratulations, Michael. Yes. Next up, we have Ashlyn Melikar. And Ashlyn has an extra special award tonight. She received a perfect ACT score and is a commended scholar as well. She's the daughter of Ken and Cameo Melikar of Hewitt. Next, she's not with us tonight, but Sasha Barrera is a commended scholar, and she's the daughter of Janet and Mark Barrera of Robinson. And then next up, we have Sam Battle, who's a commended scholar, and he is the son of Doctors Jake and Sue Battle of Waco. Ava Clevenger is also a commended scholar, and she's the daughter of Josh and Lisa Clevenger of McGregor. Not with us this evening is Inu Zhou, and he's the son of Hwasun and Zhangzhou Zhou of Hewitt. Evan Jones is a commended scholar. Come on up, Evan. And he is the son of Stephen and Karen Jones. All right, and then we have Drew Kadersha, also a commended scholar. And Drew is the son of Scott and Kristen Kadersha. Not with us tonight is Heidi Kwong, and she's a commended scholar. She's the daughter of Wang Dong Kwong and Laura Tu of Woodway. And then we have Caleb Lively. And he's the son of Lauren and Michael Lively of McGregor. Next up is Carson Lutz, and he's a commended scholar and is the son of Lori Lutz of Waco. And then we have Pia Patel, who's a commended scholar. And Pia is the daughter of Priti and Vikas Patel of Waco. Matthew Shirley is also a commended scholar. Matthew's the son of Doyle and Ann Shirley of McGregor. Alejandro Bouchard, National Hispanic Scholar and son of Martha and Andrew Bouchard of McGregor. Brandon Ramondo, National Hispanic Scholar, son of Jeff and Claudia Ramondo of Waco. Ciela Ochoa is National Hispanic Scholar, and she's the daughter of Eric and Veronica Mancha of Waco. Isabella Benson, also a National Hispanic Scholar, and she's the daughter of Grace and Nicholas Benson of Hewitt. There's a whole bunch. We can keep going for a while. Laura Arias, also a National Hispanic Scholar, and she's the daughter of Rafael and Marilu Arias of Hewitt. Matthew Marquez is not with us this evening, but he's a National Hispanic Scholar and the son of Vicky and Tony Marquez. And then I know I have one more page, sorry. I have two more. Next up is Thomas Workentine. And he is a National Hispanic Scholar, the son of Angie and Brian Workentine of Waco. And our last one for the evening is Reeve Tarter, and he's a National Indigenous Scholar, son of Amy and Noel Tarter of Waco. Yes. And that is our biggest group that we've had, I believe. So.
item that we're going to take up that's not on this part of the agenda, but we're going to move it up. And George, I'll let you take it from there.
Members of the board, thank you very much for this opportunity. It was very wonderful this evening that we had, of course, the Castleman Creek students come forward and lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. But as you know, Dr. Mandy Johnson is moving on to become our new principal of Park Hill Elementary, our newest elementary school in the district. And so that left a vacancy for Castleman Creek. And so I went through the process of visiting with the Castleman Creek staff, as I always do, looking things they're looking for in their next leader. And of course, here in the district, we want to look at our talent that we have in our district. And that included the opportunity to visit with Dr. Clint Glazeman, who is an assistant principal currently at Castleman Creek. And so we invited Dr. Glazeman to come in and interview and talk and have a conversation with the leadership team of Castleman Creek. And it was quite evident, quite unanimous that he is the man. He is the one to lead Castleman Creek in this next juncture in Midway ISD's history. So Dr. Glazeman, if you'd come forward. This is Dr. Clint Glazeman. He is a veteran of Midway ISD now for over 10 years. He's a proud Midway alum himself, graduating from Midway High School. He began teaching English at the high school. He's been an instructional technologist at our intermediate level. He began his administrative career at Castleman Creek and then ventured in order to learn at a different level and was an assistant principal at the middle school. And then this year, when we needed 2 assistant principals for Castleman due to the large number of students, he went back to Castleman Creek in order to be an assistant principal. And again, the staff and community and students obviously fell in love with you again. And so Dr. Glazeman recently completed his doctorate degree from Baylor University in educational leadership. I had the pleasure of teaching him in one of his courses, and what I've told the staff when I was introducing him, that yes, he has strong technical skills, but he is just the best person, the highest character, integrity, honesty, and it shines through over and over again in all that you do. You're just a fantastic person, and I couldn't be more proud of you and for you to announce you as the next principal for Castleman Creek Elementary. This is Dr. Clint Glazeman. You can come. I'll let him say a couple of words, but before I do that, he does have, of course, very proud parents. Ms. Mary Lou Glazeman, our assistant superintendent, but also his dad's here. Yes, Mr. Ronnie Glazeman and his wife, Ms. Joy Fanner. There's Joy. Joy, congratulations. He has a son, Quinn. I believe he's almost 2, or is 2, 2.5, and a baby on the way, I hear. So congratulations, Dr. Glazeman. I'll turn it over to you.
Well, well, thank y'all so much for the honor. I'm so excited to get to begin this journey at Castleman Creek, which is where I got to start off my leadership career. But all the thanks goes to Dr. Johnson and the tremendous example that she set. We opened up, well, we didn't open up, but we started together at Castleman Creek. And one of the things I appreciate about her is that I never felt like an assistant principal with her, but like a co-leader. She's so wonderful at empowering those that work with her, and I can't say enough wonderful things about her. She's one of my best friends and incredible mentor and leader, and I look forward to trying to fill her shoes. Under her leadership, Castleman Creek has become a Baylor PDS school, an Apple Distinguished school, and she's just done incredible things, and I look forward to the opportunity to continue the great work that she started there. And I just appreciate all of you and the trust that you and the community and the students have given me. So thank you so much. Yeah.
Congratulations to you, Dr. Glazeman. We look forward to your leadership at Castleman Creek. Okay, that concludes our recognition. We've got some information items. Does any board member have any question about any of the information items, including the 1,000 pages worth of board policy?
Do we need to pick a calendar? They didn't recommend one.
It's just information.
Oh, it's just have to vote.
Okay. Not any questions on the information items, then we'll move on to the presentation discussion items, the first of which is the monthly finance report. Wesley.
if you'll notice, on the left-hand column, our current general fund adopted budget was originally a $1.8 million deficit, but now it's been updated with our all the amendments we've adopted to date, and it's now a $3.2 million deficit. That includes the amendment adopted for the turf field replacement as well, which is the $1.1 million. On page 4 of our financial report for this month, you'll see our budgeted average daily attendance is 8,022, and on page 10 of our financial report, we have our first 6 weeks data of ADA. You'll see in our first 6 weeks for the 2021-22 school year, our ADA was 7,759. Second 6 weeks was a little higher at 7,941, but still well below the budget amount of 8,022. And typically the first 6 weeks are higher than how we finish the year. At the bottom of that same report is our attendance percentages for the first 6 weeks. The first 6 weeks you'll see 93.9%, and then 95.8 for the second 6 weeks. So 93 is obviously extremely low. It's the lowest percentage that we've had since I've been here. Of course, with COVID peaking at that time, the TEA did announce that they would bring our attendance percentage up to the lesser of our first 6 weeks attendance percentage in the 2019-20 school year, or the average of the last 6 weeks of the current school year. So we'll probably end up bringing it up to the last 6 weeks of this current school year. That'll probably be the lower number, and so that'll bring that up a couple percentage points, which should help our ADA in the first 6 weeks. We also have a budget amendment in the consent agenda, budget amendment 22-6, and that's to provide funds for the expenditure of the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act funds that were received on August 31st. So since those funds were received August 31st, the revenue was booked in the last fiscal year, but we'll spend those funds in the current fiscal year. Any questions?
Percentage, that'll be for the new budget year we just started?
Yes.
So have you had a chance to kind of run the numbers on what the effect that'll have on the projected deficit?
Not yet. I'll get hopefully the third 6 weeks data, kind of the first semester, and then at the first of the calendar year, run a projection on what that'll look like.
Added enrollment and increasing our attendance from first 6 weeks to second 6 weeks, right? So we're in the right direction at least.
I'm looking in my packets 1029, page 1029. That's what, if you look at the 2021 school year, you'll see the attendance rates there for the 4th, 5th, and 6 weeks columns. And so that gives you kind of an idea, hopefully, that will be close to that 96 that will replace under the 1 column for this school year, the 21-22 school year, replace that 93.9. So it's not a lot, but that 2.5 percentage points would be very helpful for the budget. And that's how I understood the commissioners. He announced this just Thursday of last week, what they would be looking at. So the overall budget, though, correct me if I'm wrong, was still built not anticipating, though, the first 6 weeks being low like this. It was just this is helpful to maintain where we were. We normally have a general attendance rate that Wesley budgets for around that 96 mark, and our enrollment. So this was somewhat troubling to see the first so low, but we bounced back in the second because of our remote conferencing, different things that we've been doing, and of course with COVID numbers lower now, but that's what the commission will look at is the 4th, 5th, and 6 weeks average to replace your first 6 weeks. It's got to be complicated.
Of course.
So.
Bond construction update, Buddy.
Good evening, everyone. All of our bond construction projects are progressing nicely, progressing as we are hoping for them to. The CTE edition The first floor is painted. HVAC units were set on the roof today. The windows are going in. Some of them already have the glass in the windows. The roof is almost completed, if it's not completed. So that project's going well. River Valley, a lot of the brick is up at River Valley now, and it looks really good with the stone and the brick on it. There's painting going on out there. The first floor is painted. Some of the ceramic tile is going up. They're hoping sometime in December to be pouring the resinous floors and the terrazzo. So River Valley is progressing nicely. The ITC building, it is going really fast. They're already painting the walls in there. The ceiling grid is going in. The metal on the outside of the building should be finished up tomorrow. It'll look really good when we get our M signs put on the building too. They're going to look really neat. The structural steel at Park Hill has completed, except for just a few tiddly things that they have to finish on the structural steel. The metal studs are going up. Sometime next week you should be able to see them on the front. Because everything they're doing on that campus, they're starting on the back side and then working their way around the school to the front. So sometime in the next, probably after Thanksgiving, you'll be able to see some progress. The metal studs are like the cafeteria is walled up, the second floor is walled up, but the front's not yet, but it will be soon. Everything on the outside of that building is going well. We're hoping that the supply chain issues get better by spring as we start needing all of the inside items and that we don't get held up there. Final completion date is still around the 1st of July. We haven't moved the final completion date, so they're still targeted to finish that. The sewer project is coming through the park. Sometime in December, they'll tie it in to our building. But they had to start at Hewitt Drive and work their way back towards us because they're making it live as they come, because we're taking in an old sewer line and putting it in that new one. Middle school, that renovation plans are still being worked out on that. We're hoping maybe to do that in 2 phases so that we can get stuff bid earlier in the spring for this summer. And so Huckabee's working trying to get the plans done on the administration part in the front of the building, and then what's currently the 8th grade wing. If we get that, we can get that part bid and try to get that done this summer. We're not hoping, at the December board meeting, Stephen Hafer will be here with Huckabee to present the design development. And at Spring Valley, don't think that we've forgotten Spring Valley. We haven't. Walker Partners is planning on getting bids in December or January on the 3 proposals at Spring Valley. We're going to bid that first driveway that we know we're going to do around there to connect the drive around to the front, and then we're going to have an alternate for the street, the driveway going back to Angel Fire, and then an alternate for the parking lot. So we're going to have numbers to you the first part of next year so you can make a decision on what we want to do there. Any questions?
Other than what's listed? Did you mention Chapel Park?
Chapel Park.
I may
I'm
have missed
sorry.
it.
I skipped over Chapel Park.
I was reading it, so if that's all there is, then that's fine.
Have you been by there?
I've seen the
A lot
outside,
of
yeah.
outside work is going on. Traffic is even, we're having to pay for that, of course, but we're having to shut down the inside lane or the outside lane so that they can fix the the driveways, the entrances, all of that's going on. They're putting walls up inside. All the studs are up, putting sheetrock on them. I think they're about through with all the demolition. Yeah, it's going good. We're still planning on having the exterior finished by spring break. That's still the plan right now.
Of all the properties last month, and they all look really good, and it was exciting to see them all in the construction phases, and they were all clean and going along really well, at a good pace, so good, it was neat.
And I would offer that invitation to any of you if you want to do it.
By Woodgate Chapel Park to leave Mr. Knoyer his principal cookie. And I was so impressed by how things have been rearranged since you don't have the regular entrance, but also especially delighted with how gracious and friendly the staff person was who greeted me at the window. Like, she was not fazed at all. But living with remodeling can be stressful, but she looked like she was just breezing through it. And then the other day, I carpooled a young man to River Valley. I said, what do you think about going to school with all this construction right over your head? And he said, it's so exciting because every day I come and there's something new to see. So it's been neat to see the human side of all this going on.
And all of our principals, Mr. Knoyer's been great to work with. So has Paul at River Valley and Jay at the middle school, Mandy at Park Hill. It's good to have principals that help and understand and get involved. And we have a great staff. Y'all know that. I don't have to tell you something.
And Ms. Smith is very difficult, so we thank you for acknowledging that. Buddy. Exactly. Thank you.
What is the old saying? If you can't say something good, no. No, Allison and Jess both have been great to work with at the high school.
Yes.
Thank you for that update.
It was just personal interactions over the last month. But.
Thank you for that update. Any other questions, buddy? All right, very good. All right, on the next item, high school Mars Drive traffic plan, because the good news is they're gonna do something about Mars Drive. The bad news is, can't do it in a summer.
No, sir.
So we gotta have a traffic plan.
So yes, Allison Smith is back to present with Jess Wheeler, and I'd also like to introduce to you Wade and Christy Miller of Big Creek Construction, who is doing the work for us, and I appreciate them being here this evening as well. And he has a couple of slides, I think Wade does as well, but wanted just you all to see the work that's gone into to plan and think about how are we going to still have school when Mars Drive from Whataburger to the old Hewitt Drive will be closed, which is our major thoroughfare, as you all know, for many, many of our students and families. And so tasked Allison and Jess to think, and Jay Fisher at the middle school as well, to help and think how they could design our traffic flows. So
Sure.
I'll let Wade and Christy maybe add some
Yeah.
about the overall project overall.
Sounds great. So I'm going to have Jess here too, so he can jump in at any point, because this has definitely been a brainchild of many people in a room. But I felt like we need to start with the district map, because we basically, with how we're going to be trying to reroute traffic, we're looking at not possibly, this is our plan. So on the top half, the northwest side, the green section, that's everybody, basically the northwest side of the district is going to be coming in one direction. On the next map, they will be labeled as a green arrow. You'll follow that. So if you're on the bottom right-hand side, the southwest, or that should be, I guess, the southeast side of Chapel, that's actually going to be the blue line. And so we're kind of making our own little, yes, basically. So if we'll go ahead and switch to the next map, this is the one that's been hours and hours of conversations around my table with everybody from transportation to, we talked to Buddy, we've talked to Robert, we've talked to, the police officers. We brought, Foley and Mark in, both from Woodway and from Hewitt. It's been run through Waco PD, even though they're not on our campus. But so if you'll notice, there's a green line and a blue line. And if you'll notice, the green line is going in a reverse fashion from what you're used to. So the starting with the red at the top, that's the section that's going to be closed first, which projected timeline on that is after Christmas break, roughly. We don't have an exact date of start, but once we get that, we will definitely share that. We're thinking, yeah. So 6 months for that section.
It's an 18-month duration for the entire project. That portion will be 6 months, and then we'll have a new focus to start the school year, because the drive we're going to create here will be different than what we're going to start school at, because we'll have different access points and closures.
Depends on, no, I don't know. I know that the one big thing that we actually, originally when we started talking with Waco, there was not a stoplight planned for right there at Mars and Old Hewitt. That was years ago when this first plan first rolled out. And so we're very, very thankful that that is going to go in. That is going to be an official stoplight there at Mars and Old Hewitt there. They're going to be adding sidewalks in that area from Hewitt Drive, right there where the pointer is. On the right-hand side, that's closest to 8 acres, that's what we call that practice soccer field, football field area. That one's going to be 12 feet wide. So wide enough that bikes and kids can walk, ride all down that. And then on the other side, I believe it's they said an 8-foot sidewalk on the other side, going down the opposite side of the street, like on the Best Fido Friends side towards Waterburger as well. So we're finally getting some sidewalks there. They're going to be reinforcing the street, so hopefully nobody loses tires anymore. But that'll be a big thing. The light will go in, but what we're all here to talk about is how we're going to fix how people get to school and from school. In talking with Mr. Fisher at the middle school too, we are trying not to make our problem just dump on to his traffic flow as well. So we've turned our line around in the front of the school, which is a little different, but we're going to be asking all of our employees that normally park in that front visitor parking lot to park where the current new band lot is that's not on this map. So we'll be moving all of those cars out, so that's less traffic that you have to go around as a parent. And we'll be doing the drop-off lanes in the front. They'll be pulling up through that top lot, just like we've done in the opposite direction to drop off as well. But we'll be using Old Hewitt. We'll be opening the gates all the way through Old Hewitt as our main exit to come out. The blue line, which would be on the southeast side of the district, you can see they can come in down Panther Way or down, I believe that street off the side is called Anna Street. That's right at the bottom in the middle of the map. And they would come down the back side of the school. So we're going to be shifting some of our student parking a little bit further over because you guys know that there's student drivers in that back lot and a lot of things going on with them going and coming to school and from school. So, but everything's going to be traveling to the right on this map, going that direction, which is somewhat opposite of what they currently do right now. But when you exit out of the student parking lot in the back after you drop off there at what we call the Big Snake, it's the long walkway that is also a drop-off area for students. They can go right or left coming out of there. The big issue that we're worried about the most is probably traffic backing up really in either direction. If it backs up on Mars Drive, that feeds back into Texas Central Parkway, and obviously the yellow line that's at the top is our bus drop-off. So that's at the edge of the construction zone that we already have, that used to be the teacher parking lot. So our buses will come in that direction and drop off there. We've got to try and get them back out that same direction. But
so what we're going to be asking parents to do is, the reason we're moving the teachers parking in these 2 parking lots here and moving to the band lot is so that we can create space. So as parents come in, and historically they have lined up along the drive, we're going to ask that they not do that, that they're going to need to park in actual spots so that we can filter as much traffic into our confines and away from Mars Drive, so that we make sure we can keep that Panther, the route to Panther Run free. We're going to do the exact same thing down here in the blue lot. We're going to ask students that have bought or in this white lot, they're going to come to the blue lot or they're going to go to the red lot. Unless it's a senior who's painted their spot, they can maintain theirs, and staff will continue to park in those. But we'll push those out and we'll request parents park into those parking spots so that we can keep as much traffic off of the roads as possible.
that's specifically for pickup time in the
That's specifically
afternoon.
for pickup.
Yeah.
Yes, just for
Yeah,
pickup.
not in the
Drop-off
morning.
will just be a free flow.
Yeah. Yeah. But for the pickup, we have cars starting to line up as early as 2:45 because we have students that have release periods and things like that. So when parents come, there won't be stopping in the line anymore. You'll have to find a spot to park, which a lot of ours already do right now. It's going to be a little more forced. You really have to be in either the choir parking lot or that top visitor parking lot in the front, and then white lot in the back. So.
The great advantage to this is folks that do come in, even parents that drop off here, they can come back around and get into the middle school line. The middle school parking or their pathway is actually not changing. We'll probably plant officers early on in some different areas, just as we do at the start of the school year, just to mitigate any of those issues that are out there. Our parents do a phenomenal job, and it takes a little time to get these folks through, but they figure those pieces out. And so we'll place cops there as long as we need them, and then we'll pull those back to the campus as we can.
Are you going to have extra staff outside? Been with all this for a while, or how long?
We have teachers that are already on duty along with our assistant principals, and then our counseling team could help as well. So I think for now, we'll probably look at posting officers at the corner of the green and the yellow at the top right-hand corner, and then at the point, the perpendicular spot at the bottom in the middle, right there and up at the top. And then we can take our APs, and move them around and help keep traffic going. It's going to be a hiccup for the first week or so, just like the beginning of school is for us. It's just the hardest thing I think in both of these situations is going to be that your student in our old-fashioned going the other direction, they get out on the right-hand side of the car and just hop on the curb. You're talking about the car being in reverse, and they've got to hop out and either go in front of the car or behind the car. And so we'll give some instructions on that to parents of, is it best that your student go in front of your car to make sure you are not, so we'll do some of those things too.
Sit on the driver's side.
Yes, sit on the driver's side and jump out on the curb on the driver's back.
Or ride the
passing.
bus if they're bus eligible.
Yes, absolutely, yes.
Will they open 24/7 now? And is it
It
capable
probably
of
will.
handling all that traffic?
We're hoping.
Yeah.
We typically close the gate that's right there by the DAP building in the mornings just so the traffic doesn't flow through there. But in this situation, it will literally be, you have to go through the front drive to get to that road. So hopefully that'll be a deterrent unless you really need to be there.
Curricular activities and basketball starting up, and there's
Yeah.
soccer, open, close.
Yeah.
Right. You just have to just lock it open.
Yeah,
do
and
it.
if you start doing a lot of that, people not paying attention, running into gates and things like that. So I would think that those will start to be a little more open than they've been in the past. So.
Is there a concern that old Hewitt traffic would go around behind the football stadium and exit where the buses exit from the middle school?
So
or
we
is that,
talked about
or is that blocked?
In the afternoon, the middle school has enough buses that they fill up that bus lane going both directions. So coming in and going out, they line up buses all the way down, and kids, they don't want any traffic going across
Yeah.
while kids are loading.
So that's blocked then?
Our maintenance staff already
There's a
in the
fence.
afternoon, there's a gate that's right there by the stadium.
That'll be
They
closed too?
already close
Okay.
those. It's a current practice that we already do to prevent high school traffic from flowing into middle school, and that practice will continue.
Okay.
We're gonna be the same pattern?
Yes, so like, in theory, if you have a high school and a middle school kiddo, you could drop your high school kid off and then go directly to the middle school and exit and not have to, swing back around or anything
Yeah.
like that.
So the current route, like the way we go, come down Hewitt and turn down Panther and then go up Old Hewitt and then turn to the tennis court.
Mhm.
It's kind of busy already. And just when I saw this first thing, I thought, man, there's a lot of cars coming both ways. And then people trying to turn at all those stop signs. But I guess the solution is just have officers there kind of directing traffic.
That's our plan.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's a better solution. That's a mess. It's just hard to.
Yes.
We had talked
Hard to
about
sell.
trying to divert through here up into the middle school, where the buses are, but students in football and everything else around that are right there across from the middle school. And we tried to avoid so much extracurricular traffic in the morning and crossing cars with that. A lot of times kids they're never late or anything like that, but they're running hard to get places and not oftentimes paying attention. We just didn't want to put cars in that. To put some extra, lighting right there where the kids come out of the locker rooms and run across
Yes, sir.
the road right there.
Yeah. Once it gets dark in the evening, especially right now when it's dark early, that's super dark over that creek.
Kids running back and
Yeah,
forth.
that's actually needed that regardless of this, I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So, I mean, we may look at getting portable lights or something there that can turn on and off or
And
something.
signage, are you gonna have some signage that
Yes,
helps direct all
I
this
mentioned that to
flow?
Dr. Kazanis this morning, that we'll get temporary signage that we can stake in the ground with arrows and things like that of which directions to go and those
Yeah.
different pieces, so.
And after tonight, we'll start a flood of communication
Yeah.
through all avenues to.
To Mr. Miller, maybe give everybody a chance to come back from Christmas on the 4th and then begin Monday, January 10th. So we come back on a Tuesday for the kids in high school. We'll communicate all week long and make sure all the signs are out and all that kind of announcements and all, so that at least that Tuesday, the 4th, won't be crazy.
I would put,
So-
if we have, mobile message boards out there, like you see, street closures coming, whatever.
Some of those for,
Yeah.
Because,
one-
one of the underground areas is called underground drop-offs is getting blocked off, which is the rice field. We know a lot of parents use rice.
I did.
I call it the underground
There's cameras
quicker,
over
push
Get in and out fast.
push them out and kid and hurry, get out of here. So we know they're all going to be also, because several do use just drop off at Rice, but it's blocked. You can't get to Rice, can't get to that exit.
One
That
thing we
entrance.
did mention is right there at the tennis courts on Old Hewitt, people would not be able to go back up towards the high school at that point. We'll stake it off or something with cones on
Just like in
the
the morning
right-hand
when we
side.
drop off, where there's
Yeah.
cones, we'll have those cones moved down, where Officer Foley will stake that out every morning.
so Panther Way and Panther Run are two ways still in this. So in other words, blue line that drops off could come back down Panther Run and Panther Way out. Okay, good.
Thank you.
Over to Wade Miller, Big Creek Construction, and he's gonna.
Hello, Board. I'm Wade Miller. I'm president of Big Creek Construction. We're the ones to take on this fun project. On this traffic control plan that y'all come up with, the intersection is supposed to stay open until summer. And so, I mean, the way y'all got that righted, though, I don't know if all that traffic coming down Old Hewitt may cause a conflict with the way y'all have that run now. And so, it would honestly be better for us to leave that thing closed and let us build all the way through there, and we get more done quicker. But technically, that first phase is supposed to stop just before the intersection. And Old Hewitt Road is supposed to remain open until the first day of summer, and then we close that intersection and that part right in front of the school. And but we can look at that, I guess, and see how the traffic flow is flowing. Anyway, we're supposed to start the project January the 10th is the goal here. We had our pre-construction meeting today with the city of Waco and the consulting engineer that's over the project with us. And so the week prior, we'll put up message boards in all the areas to notify the traveling public what's going on. There'll be one at Hewitt Drive and Mars, and probably at Old Hewitt Road, and probably at Texas Central Parkway as well, just to make sure everybody's covered on that. Let them know there's going to be some traffic flow pattern changes on January 10th. The project itself, it's going to be a tough job. I'm not going to kid anybody about it. It's phased out in about 15 different pieces is what it's going to be, and so we've got about a year and a half to build it. That's a working day time frame. Rain could push it back a little further even if the weather gets bad, but a year and a half is the goal. And the part that we're doing first should take about 6 months. Our goal is to be in front of the school during the summer. And so hopefully the work going on at the school will be wrapping up about the time we get in front of the school, because they're using Mars Drive as their primary way to get in and out for that work at the school right now. And so hopefully everything will work out and we'll be in front of the school and get that knocked out before school starts again in August. We're gonna do Mars Drive first all the way through. We'll start at the part at Hewitt Drive and work to that, just before that intersection. And then over the summer, we'll go to the intersection in front of the school, stop about where the new school is being built, and then we'll start again and go from there to the railroad tracks, and then from the railroad tracks to Texas Central Parkway, and then we'll rebuild that intersection as well. The intersection at Old Hewitt Road and Mars is going to be enhanced. It's going to be wider. There's going to be turn lanes there. There's going to be traffic lights. It's going to be a whole lot different than what we've got right now. And so it should make for a whole lot better flow of traffic through there than having Officer Foley direct traffic through that thing in the mornings. But anyway, but no, that's the goal. There will be some light signal enhancements at Texas Central Parkway as well. It won't be a complete rebuild there, but there'll be some enhancements there as well. There will be sidewalks along Mars Drive from Whataburger to the school through there. Like Ms. Smith said, the side closest to the school will be 12 foot. On the opposite side is going to be a 6 foot. And it'll run all the way up past the intersection on the school side up to the Panther Run is where it'll stop on that side.
Creek.
We are going to build a new box culvert through there, yes. It won't be a bridge. It'll be a new concrete box culvert. It'll be a large structure. It'll be a 5-barrel, 10-by-8 box culvert that's going in that creek right there.
It's bigger than it is now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's help bottom the,
yeah, it's going to be quite a bit bigger, actually. And there'll be a large parallel wing wall on each end of that structure. And there's going to be a retaining wall that's going to tie into it as well that runs parallel to Mars Drive going back towards Hewitt Drive right through there. There's a creek that runs all the way up along that, almost to that parking lot behind the rice field over there. That's going to be kind of delineated off by this little retaining wall that we're going to build through there and kind of keep the water on that side of the creek. And anyway, we're going to try to get all that done, first phase, get it done before school's out, and then we'll jump in front of the school. After Mars Drive is complete, we'll jump over to Old Hewitt Road, and it's going to be built in 3 different phases. And traffic will be maintained on Old Hewitt Road during construction, and so we're going to build it in 3 pieces, but have traffic running on it during all three phases of that work. It won't be completely closed off like Mars Drive is going to be. And then finally, Panther Run, it's going to get repaved. It's not going to be a full-blown rebuild concrete pavement section like Mars and Old Hewitt Road is. It's just going to be a hot mix overlay is what it's going to be. We'll mill off the existing asphalt that's there now, put on a new layer of asphalt, and new striping on that, make it look nice. And so
documents that we saw showed that ending around where the MAC is. Is that true, or is it going to go all the way to Panther Way?
It's supposed to go all the way to Panther Way.
That's good, because that's the worst part of the road, is
Yeah,
between the
there's some
MAC and
potholes down
Panther
there
Way.
that need to
So,
be fixed.
good.
So, but that part there will not take long. That's a fairly quick, simple process. It shouldn't take more than a week to do that work on Panther Run.
That part of the road that needs some attention now, is the city, or has anybody talked about doing any of the patchwork for all this new traffic?
That's a good question. We have not discussed that. That's something that can be talked about.
At least I would talk to the city and see if they would.
Yeah, it's starting to become part of there.
You have to dodge a lot of things right there.
Right.
And then also I was thinking, have we talked to any of the industrial neighbors about the plan and our plan and what their plans are?
Well, I will say that AbbVie right across the road from the high school is highly interested in what's going on in this project. I've talked to them quite a bit. Now, they don't know anything about this new traffic plan. You know, their goal is they've got an entrance on the high school side and one on the Old Hewitt Road side that they want open, you know, for the most part at all times, because they're got receiving truckloads in there, you know, at all hours of the day. And so we've got to work with them to keep them open. And so I have talked to them quite a bit. As far as the other industrial members, see there, I have not visited with them yet.
Truck traffic that
yeah,
they're going to be very interested in.
Walmart already has rules for their drivers that they can only approach from that
Correct.
They don't let their drivers come the opposite direction.
Yeah.
They did that years ago for us. So I feel like until they get to that end of the road,
Yeah.
they're gonna be.
Just a lot more traffic about it too.
And you make hours of operation, you know, if they can avoid our start times, I don't know.
They're already, usually stay off of our start times, in the conversations we've already had with them, that they, try to stay off of our, some of their truck drivers get here at different hours and things of that nature, but for the most part, they try to accommodate us.
Yeah.
Wait, I cannot remember the drawings I saw of the new road, and so on Mars, we're putting in the new culvert where the creek is. I can't remember how high up that's gonna be now. Is it gonna be more of a drop off from that to the creek? Are we having any rails there? I can't remember how dangerous
There's
it's
not
gonna
any
be for
rails,
the kids walking
there's not any
across
rails
that.
set up to be
Okay.
put there, I do not believe. It
I
should be
didn't think
far
so.
enough out of the way where, that wall is not terribly tall. It's about 3 or 4 feet
Right.
at the highest.
Okay.
That's a pretty good question. I probably need to look at that again.
Yeah, I
and
just
see
couldn't
where we're-
remember, because in talking about it, you know, the kids could go off of it. I just was
The
thinking.
sidewalk sits inside of that area by several feet. And so there's a bit of a buffer zone between the sidewalk and that wall. And so, excuse me, there's quite a bit of right-of-way through there on that side as well that you don't really see right now because of all those trees that are jammed up in there, but it's pretty far back there. And so,
Chance kids' bikes could go off.
well, that's a
or
good
they could go
question. I
off.
mean, you know, kids might be kids and, you know, do stupid stuff through there.
Right.
But anyway,
They might, you know they will,
Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah, so it's not a question of might. So, yeah, that'd be great if you could look into that.
We
I
will.
didn't think about it when we saw the plans, what, a long time ago. So.
yeah. But anyway, that's it in a nutshell. It'll be painful for a while, but it'll be nice when it's over with. And so, anyway, thank y'all.
Thanks to both of the Millers for all do for the high school. I know Christy works just as hard.
Yeah.
Is gonna make sure all of our PTA fans are gonna be updated on the traffic plan. Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to pause you momentarily because we've had, and I apologize if I mispronounce this, Mr. Bitterdorf. Mr. Bitterdorf here? Beater? Well, I've got it, it's written down 2 different ways up here, and I didn't know which one it was. Is he here? To speak on this? To speak? Okay, that's fine. I appreciate that. How do you pronounce your name? Just Bieberdorf. So the one is, obviously somebody misspelled it there. All right, very good. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Tonight, we're going to talk just a little bit about personnel transitions. As you know, we've never had a year like we're about to have in 2022-23, opening up 2 new elementary campuses and also opening up another middle school. So it's going to be quite the process, but we've put a timeline together. Dr. Gazanis and I have been on the road for this month, trying to communicate with our staff so they understand the process. So I'm going to walk you all through it tonight. And let's start in September. So really, in September, we just took preliminary projections of what we had in August when school started and took conservative numbers. We didn't do any kind of roll-up, but just looking at really what staff might we need for next year. And then my 2 human resource managers, Julie Ann Acosta and Kelsey Griggs, really did an analysis of our certification. So we took all of our teachers and we looked at what certifications they do hold in case we have to put them in a position that they are not currently teaching right now, which we hope that does not happen. So then in October, Dr. Kazana spoke with his Spirit of Communication Council, which is a council of the representatives from each campus, and he brings them together once a month, and really they bring concerns. He talks about really the state of the district, and it gives him a pulse from each campus of what's kind of going on within the district too. So we got their input of the timeline, and we talked through what the process was going to be. Our principals then did staffing surveys. So they all did the same survey, asking the same question on a Google survey. It was just, What leadership positions have you held? If you did have to move, what would be your first or second choice of your new campuses? Anything else you might want to know? What talents may you have that the district hasn't tapped into yet? Those type questions, but they were the same questions for all of our teachers. And those were done individually, or some campuses who had already met with staff individually, because River Valley has known that it was going to be a middle school. Mr. Fisher is one of our new principals, so he had met with a lot of his staff. He may have just sent out the survey. So once that survey was not anonymous, it was personal one-on-one. So once they did the survey and they sent the information to us, we closed off that survey, and now HR has that information. Then Dr. Kazanis, we knew it was very important for us to name the principals of our schools. I will say a lot of our teachers have said, well, I really don't know where I want to go because I don't know who's leading the campus. So we knew that was critical. So Dr. Kazanis named Dr. Mandy Johnson of Park Hill Elementary, and I will say we could not be happier. She's very innovative, progressive, and we are thrilled that she's going to be leading one of our new campuses. So that all happened in October. Then in November, Dr. Kazanis and I, we called it. We were going on a road show. He went to we had a faculty meeting. Some were virtual, some were face-to-face. But we walked through the timeline with all of our teachers and just kind of let them know what the process was going to be. Then at the end of that faculty meeting, we launched a thought exchange so that they could also give input if there was anything that they saw within the timeline that they thought we could do different or make the process better. We had them put that information in the thought exchange. We also told them at that time that the survey was confidential at that time. So if there was anything else that they wanted to add to the survey, that they could contact HR and that we would put that information in the survey for them. Because they were told in the process that HR would be making that initial placement in January. And we want to make the best placement possible. We want to do what's best for our teachers. We told them that if you're a first grade teacher and you have to move, you'll be moving to a first grade position if it works out. It's not a perfect process because our projections aren't the same for every campus. So we may have, for instance, 15 pre-K teachers, but next year maybe I only need 13. So I'm going to have to look at, where our teachers want to go, where they might want to go, what certifications they hold in case I need to place them in another position. So then we also reviewed potential fourth grade grandfathering transfer process on this side. And we went ahead and looked at all of our fourth grade students, where they're getting rezoned to, but we let Sherry Burns, Angela Kirkpatrick, and Mandy Bronstead look at those lists, see where those kids might be going, and then think, okay, would they possibly want to stay for fifth grade? And as Dr. Kay says, we're really looking at those kiddos who may be the last of the litter. They're the babies of the family. There's no siblings coming behind them. They've started they started in kindergarten and they want to stay one more year to finish out at that campus. So we've not finalized that process yet. So we're still working on can we handle it? Because really when we look at our updated projections, we're really close in so many grade levels. We can't, I don't think we're going to be able to allow siblings, but we potentially could let those fourth graders stay for fifth grade. It's just going to be shifting some personnel or keeping some personnel, that a fifth grade teacher at a particular campus. So we will finalize that. Dr. Yes.
If you'd rather me wait, but
No.
You mentioned that's on this side of the district. Do we look at that for the Hewitt side as well?
Well, we already have fifth graders, so they are staying for their fifth grade,
So
and
they're
they're going to
able-
go on to middle school, and these are our fourth graders staying for fifth grade.
But I mean, if you're in zone for Spring Valley and getting moved, or to Castleman Creek, or zone for Hewitt and getting moved to Park Hill, the ability for them to stay where they are.
Yeah.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that was, it was all.
We realize that's not quite as
If it's
much
one more
movement,
year.
Yeah,
but we would, of course, open it up to all.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Then the Templeton demographic, Dr. Kazanis is still, I should have put those as 2 bullets because he is still working on that long-range plans with Mr. Templeton. My final adjustments for HR, really and truly, we took PEAM snapshot numbers on October 31st, looked at what, how many students we had, we rezoned them to where they needed to go, and we rolled them up by a year and then gave it a 2% increase, which we feel like is pretty conservative, but that's, as far as numbers, what we had last year, so we just went ahead and took that and then came up with our projections. So those are ready to go. And then tonight, we named our principal of Castleman Creek Elementary. So now all of our staff know who our leaders will be for next year. Some of the thought exchange responses I just wanted to share, these are some of the comments that our teachers have put in the thought exchange that have risen to the top. And so we'll just kind of talk about those. It says, given the demographics of our school and our school population, it's important to keep strong teachers who are committed to our demographics. This was a teacher from a title campus. She's very passionate about the campus that she serves. What we want to do is we want all of our campuses to be as strong as they possibly can. So that's why HR is really looking at it closely. We want to build teams that have new teachers, have skilled teachers, have veteran teachers, that our kids are seeing familiar faces at our new campuses. So we're passionate too about building as strong a schools as we possibly can. What happens if there's more teachers who want a specific job? Then there are spots. Well, once we place, and we're going to talk about this next month, is we'll open up for a transfer process in February. This one says teachers and staff should be given a work day specifically for moving and packing items. I completely agree with that. Our teachers are going to have, it's a lot to ask our teachers, even when we're asking teachers to move from classroom to classroom within the same building, but now we're packing up and having them move to another campus, certainly. I'll get with Mr. Freeman and we will work on that.
I would also suggest that you might ask community members if they would help. I mean, we've got extra box trucks, or that we could donate for the day to help move stuff. I mean, there are a lot of people I think would
yes,
be
would help.
Would help, and yeah, you're gonna have a lot to happen in a short amount of time. So
yes, like I was, Mr. Freeman, that was going to be the end of my presentation. Should something go awry and we don't have Park Hill and all of my pieces then tumble. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Yes, that's right. So a lot of teachers have given good feedback and they like the process and they're happy. They know that we are really trying to do what is best for everyone. I tell them all the time, we want our teachers to be happy. I mean, turnover is hard for HR, it's hard for our students, it's hard for the district, so we're going to do everything we can to make our teachers happy. One of the concerns is I'm concerned about fifth grade teachers being self-contained and kids going straight to middle school. To be honest, when we moved fifth grade teachers off of Woodgate to an elementary campus, it was a difficult transition. We basically took teachers who were teaching in a secondary model and we moved them to an elementary model. And so when we met with River Valley staff, that was a huge concern because word spreads and everybody knew this was a difficult transition. It took about 6 weeks, if not more, to really settle in and know what that structure was gonna look like in fifth grade. It could be different. That's the problem, and that's what we tell our staff is at fifth grade, the projections at Spiegelville, and we only need 2 fifth grade teachers. So not everybody can teach just one content. It's not gonna look that way at every campus. Spring Valley may have 4, Castleman Creek's projected to have 5. So the model is not gonna be like it was when it was Woodgate and River Valley Intermediate Schools. It's going to be an elementary model, and it'll be different at each campus. This one says, I'm afraid some programs may become understaffed because it isn't as simple as splitting what we currently have in half. When that question actually came up through the thought exchange, I thought, I'm gonna develop a frequently asked question because I feel like I didn't explain it well. We're not splitting campuses in half. The middle school is projected to have about 1,100 students. River Valley Middle School is gonna open up with 875. And we have a formula that we work through. It's a 140 to 1 for our electives, and it's 135 to 1 for our core. So there's a formula we work with that tells us how many staff we're gonna need, and that's what we use. So we're not cutting programs in half. So I feel like I probably need to do a frequently asked questions to go back on maybe some things that I missed in our presentations. Adequate staffing, both campuses need qualified, rigorous, full-time staffing to ensure success. I completely agree with that, and that's what we're gonna work towards. This I included, this is just one of the reports that Thought Exchange can give you. It's a word cloud, it just highlights some of the words that come up through the Thought Exchange, but you can see this is Spring Valley Elementary, but special ed is a big concern. Teachers wanna know, what is resource gonna look like? What are our self-contained programs? Where are they gonna be located? So that transition is on our teachers' minds right now. Okay, in January, that's a big month, so this is when we will place our HR staff. Some of our teachers have asked too, like, why are you placing so early? We want to place early because we want our teachers to be where they want to be and where we need them to be, and we also want a transfer process to happen before we open it up to the public. So we're gonna staff in January, and we're gonna go ahead and do staffing meetings with each of our principals. We'll let them know what the projections are, how many personnel we're gonna need at each grade, what their title funds are, what their state comp funds are, all of that information, and then we'll let them see what our preliminary plans look like, what our teams are gonna look like, and if they have any tweaks that need to be made, we're certainly gonna listen to that. So then we will place all of our teachers, we'll bring all of our principals together one final time to look at where all the placements are gonna be for any final adjustments. And then staff, if they are going to be transitioned, they will be notified on January 21st. We told them about 4 p.m. so they don't have to worry about looking at their email during the day. But we'll email the staff and then we'll copy their current principal and then their new principal. Some of the staff have asked, you know, can I meet my new principal? I wanna know if I have a connection with them. Certainly we're trying to work on that process. Then that'll give HR about 1 week to put together all the openings that we have in the district. And what we've told our staff is we want them to have their eyes on that first. So we will send an email to all district to show them all the openings within our district, and we will open up the transfer process, and that'll open up January 31st. Every year we have a transfer process for our employees. We let them transfer, always promotions, and then lateral moves are also allowed to a certain time. What we told staff this year was, on this survey for transfers, you can apply for any position should you want to go back potentially to the campus that you were if there's an opening. Or we're gonna ask you the question, if there were a position that's not currently open but becomes open within the school year that you would like, go ahead and list that position too, and then we will allow those lateral moves even into June. A lot of times we cut it off in early May because principals will say, okay, well, so-and-so took my teacher, she was wonderful, and now I'm gonna have to go look in June for someone else. But what we've told our staff is if you put that position down there and we know ultimately that is something that you want, we want to consider that because we want you to be happy. So we'll leave it open longer this year. Okay, so then our principals will start that transfer process, and like one of the questions was in the thought exchange, what happens if I want to go back but 10 other people have applied for it? That becomes a principal decision. That principal will determine the best candidate employee for the team in which they are building at that grade level. So the principals will be interviewing for the month and making those placements, and then in March 1st is when we will open up all open positions externally. So they'll be posted on our website as we prepare for the job fair that is scheduled for Saturday, March 19th. We're gonna do it in person this year. We're super excited. Then in May, with my Pollyanna attitude, I'm hoping to have 100% fill rate, and we're gonna celebrate all of our campuses. We talked about, just having 2 new elementary campuses opening up and a middle school and celebrating those, but we want to celebrate all of our campuses and where all of our teachers are placed. So I don't know, we haven't decided, Tracy and I are still going to talk about it, but either, different t-shirts or whatever, and we all come together at the end of the year to celebrate all of our campuses. So that'll happen in May. Certainly, we would love to have you.
I love t-shirts.
Yes. So you'll just have to choose your campus. One thing that we have done also is we've contracted with TASB. They will be conducting a review of our staffing practices. So that'll take about 3 months. That begins in January, but they're going to be looking at our master schedules. They'll be looking at all of our departments, interviewing teachers, interviewing professional positions, and really helping us if there's any chance of cost reduction of positions that we have. The model that we're using, they will certainly make those recommendations to our leadership team in early March, and I'm hoping they'll be here to present to you at the board meeting in March. If not, if they're not ready, it'll be in April. At the same time, we'll be doing a salary review. If you recall, we did this about 6 years ago, but with the local job market we have now, we just feel like it's critical they come back in, look at us, tell us. It's tough to, as you all know, to raise teacher salaries at this time, so we really need to look at our personnel and our salaries. They're going to do both of them at the same time and make recommendations to us. So I'm hoping that will come forward in March, if not April.
Last time we did the staffing review by TASB, how long ago that's been, or did they?
It was about 6 years ago.
When they did the salary? They did
We've
the
never done a
staffing?
personnel review.
That's what I was asking you, the personnel.
Yes,
We've
we've
not
not-
done that one before.
As long as I've been here, we
So this
haven't.
is new.
Mhm. So we feel like it'll be good at the, doing it at the same time. And if they were to make any recommendations of absorbing positions, certainly we would do that through attrition. Nobody would ever lose, and we're not going to lose jobs, those type things. It's just, how can we stay competitive in the market that we have? So we'll look at auxiliary, we'll look at all positions.
Coming, I'm sorry.
They begin, I have my first meeting in December, but they will start their work early January, and they're hoping to be done in March. I'm hoping earlier in March.
Sort of internalize some of their recommendations and apply those to this transition then.
Well, and I'll be bringing, well, I already have people bringing new positions forward right now because we have ESSER funds, different things like that. So I do have those of special ed coming forward right now with some positions that they're needed for next year, but I'm hoping to hold off on new position requests until we get their recommendations from them. The problem is that's when the market is the hottest, is in March when we're looking for teachers and positions. So I'm hoping they can work quickly. Questions?
Huge job this is, so thank you for all the extra hours of work and hair pulling and whatever else you've been doing to put a plan in place, so thank you. And to all your staff.
Thank you.
Very, very hard.
Well, I'm very encouraged by the comment. I think it sounds like a great plan. You've given thought to staffing in a way that balances experience levels, et cetera, and shown careful consideration of teachers' happiness. That rose to the top. That was a comment, yeah. Well,
So,
It really is. It's hard. There's no doubt there's anxiety. But like I said, the puzzle pieces will fall if we can't get our campuses open. Like people thought, a lot of teachers were asking, well, if I do go to Park Hill, when can I get in to go see my room? And we're like, well, we don't know, because we don't know when it's going to be finished. So we're hoping not the day before school starts, but so we will certainly keep in close contact with our teachers and our new principals. Dr. Johnson will be communicating with her new staff and having preliminary meetings, those type things. So hopefully that will relieve some of the anxiety.
day.
Good job. Exciting times, but a lot of challenges, a lot of opportunities. All right, consideration items. We have the consent agenda. We have minutes from our October 19 regular meeting and our November 1 special called meeting. We've got our IS Form 990 for the Education Foundation, acceptance of grants that are be funded for the fall 2021, the budget amendment, several early graduation requests, approval of the contracts with Masonic Construction for the middle school renovation, and delegate authority to George to execute those. Does any board member wish to remove any item from the consent agenda? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda? Motion by Mr. Alford. Second. Second by Mr. Witt. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next, we've got to cast our votes for electing one of the nominees. Hopefully, we have enough votes to elect one to the McLennan County Appraisal District for the upcoming term 22 through 23. George, do you have anything to say about this?
Yeah, so explain real quick, or clarify, it's the top 6 vote getters?
Top 5.
Top 5. Top 5 vote getters.
Top 5.
Yeah, and we had, 15% of the votes?
We have over 700, I believe, if you look,
Yeah, what page is
page,
it?
I'm trying to get to that, sir.
1209.
12.
It was on top of the page numbers tonight. 1209.
We have 742 out of 5,000.
And so it's generally pretty close. Of course, if you'll notice, some of the larger entities like the city of Waco with 900 plus, the McLennan County with 900 plus, and Waco ISD 900 plus, pretty, certainly guaranteed if they cast all of theirs. Mr. Russick probably does a better job than I do explaining the fact that what's a little different is the fact that you all, the largest entities, but law changed where we have to vote earlier than the actual deadline. Sometimes we could wait and see how other, the vote tally has occurred. We have voted in the past sometimes in December to kind of see that, but we, because of the size that we are, legislative change that we have to cast these.
At our second meeting following the receipt of the ballots, the official ballots from the appraisal district, and that is this meeting.
Right.
So, because our November 1 meeting counted as the first meeting, this counts as the second one. So we have to act tonight. We can't push this off to another meeting, or basically we lose the opportunity to
vote.
cast our vote.
Really?
Right. So that's why, in the past, it's been very imperative, of course, of the major entities to look at a candidate, and then generally one has been elected from some of the smaller entities, as you can see their votes. They do have to pool their votes. It's difficult, of course, the smaller cities and the smaller school districts cannot do that. And been made aware, certainly, just so you know, the last nominee, Mildred Watkins, is a board member of La Vega ISD and has garnered support in the past and had indicated her desire to run again. Ben Perry, as you know, is a commissioner, so he would be the county.
Who's currently on there now? Is it Ben?
Ben and Mildred.
Ben and Mildred
And
are
Jonathan
on there.
Green, ours, was appointed. No, I think he's a,
Jonathan's with an A.
normally it is, but I think he's an O. There is a little,
Well, his Facebook profile has it
Is
spelled
A-
with an A.
oh, okay.
Which he set up himself.
It was an invalid ballot then, we can't vote.
And John Kennard is the
I've
chair.
seen the O though.
That's right.
And off.
That's why Holmes.
Right,
Yeah, and Jim Holmes is the city of Waco, yes, sir.
right.
And I believe, my understanding that Andrew Drexel is the Waco ISD nominee.
Right, because Alan Sykes has been on there, but he's rolling off. And then, Mr. Riggs is an ex officio member, he's not a voting member. So. All right, so those are the folks. Do we have a motion from any board member on, how to cast our ballots?
Ask a question too. Do we know any of these other units that have already voted? Because I know that some of the school districts meet regularly in the month than we do, and I think a friend of mine is at China Spring. I think they had their meeting last night, so I don't know if some of them have already voted, and do we know anything from them yet? So we don't.
Robinson was last night as well.
I'll say many of the districts look to us to our nominee, and they also look, of course, to Ms. Watkins. La Vegas, the school, I can't speak for the cities.
Do we as a board cast a vote for just one candidate or?
You can, and as I said, that would
And then we vote on
increase the chances of your candidate
Yeah.
from Midway's representative being on the board.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, out of the large entities, the entities that have the most votes, we are up there with the city of Waco, Waco ISD, and the county. Those other three entities all have mathematically enough votes to absolutely control who they want to elect. Mathematically, if there were only six, we don't get there with 770. Obviously, there are more than six here, so the math gets fuzzy, as it were, and, who knows exactly how many it's gonna take now, because we don't know how anybody else has voted or will vote. I mean, I assume the county's gonna cast enough votes to elect Mr. Perry. Commissioner Perry. I assume the city's gonna do the same with Councilman Holmes, and that Waco ISD is gonna do what they need to do to elect Mr. Drexel. So,
Yeah. So I think, I mean, we obviously could split our votes, but we would be weakening our position to control.
So in the past, when we've
position.
done that, it's because there were less candidates nominated.
yes, this is, I'm not gonna say the largest number that I've ever seen, but it's right up there,
Right.
you know?
City of Hewitt is one of these. I don't recognize the other name. Michael Benka is City of Hewitt.
Such a
It's-
desirable position, Pete.
Right.
Yeah,
Coming out.
I'm telling
People
you.
wanna make change, I guess.
The city of Woodway nominated Miss Fusilier.
Oh,
I know that.
And the other one, yeah. The
Yeah.
first name was the City of Hewitt.
okay.
And Mr.
Okay.
Moncali, I think that's how he pronounces his city of Hewitt. Yeah. So,
What?
Need a motion
You need a
What'd
for
you say?
vote. I said, need a motion. I said, you notice in my notes, I said, I do recommend that you cast them all for one candidate, though, of your choice, to improve our chances of placing one nominee.
And I would make a motion that we nominate Jonathan Green.
all right, motion by Mr. Tullis. Is there a second?
Second.
That's a motion for all votes, all 700 and whatever we are for Mr. Green.
Yes.
Second by Ms. Vick. Any further discussion?
I would probably lean towards Mr. Salmons on this, knowing him for a long time, as being a good representative. So if I vote no on this, it doesn't mean I don't approve of Mr. Green. It just means I would think Mr. Salmons is a better candidate for us. I also would be in favor of splitting the votes to some degree and letting them talk to the other boards and see where things lie. But I understand there's some reluctance to do that, so.
And for the record, I'm friends with Scott too.
Yeah.
Love the guy. He does a lot of good things in the community. I think Jonathan's a better choice for us in this scenario, so.
And I would echo Rick's comments. I don't have anything against Scott at all. I think Jonathan's a better choice.
He's a good guy. Yeah.
Yeah, so. Anything else? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
No.
Motion carries 6-1. Thank you, Colin. Appreciate your comments. All right, then we'll move on to approving the agreement for purchase of attendance credits. Those people down there in Austin are like the FBI. They have no sense of humor. Accordingly, I move that for the 2021-22 school year, we delegate contractual authority to obligate the school district under Texas Education Code 11.15111, little c in parentheses, number 4 in parentheses, to the superintendent solely for the purpose of obligating the district under Texas Education Code Section 48.257 and Texas Education Code Chapter 49, subchapters A and D only, and the rules adopted by the Commission of Education is authorized under Texas Education Code Section 49.006. This includes approval of the agreement for the purchase of attendance credit. Is there a second to that motion? Second. Second by Ms. Watts. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries
Better do a
unanimously.
good job, George.
Wesley, help.
I've got it written down here. You don't have to.
No, to do a good job with whatever we got. Attendance
Yeah.
credits.
Don't mess
Help
it
me.
up,
It's a lot of
please.
responsibility.
Don't
so-
screw it up.
Do not screw it up. Okay, so personnel, do we have professional recommendations? 3, do we have a motion to approve the professional recommendations? Motion by Dr. Popejoy, second by Mr. Alford. Any further discussion? If not, all in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. We've already announced Dr. Glazman. Anything else on personnel, ma'am? All right.
Kristen's coming back.
I'm fired up about all of it. I'm really glad to hear that.
So are we for our level 3 grievance then?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Ready to proceed.
So with that, then, folks, are we gonna hear it in here and excuse everybody, or how are we gonna do it? We're gonna go across the hall? All right. So at this time, our agenda item is level 3 appeal of the McKinney-Vento dispute. The board's going to go into closed session under sections 551.082 and 551.0821 of the Texas Government Code. The time is now 8:26.
Thank you. All right. What are you happy about?
Oh,